Get ready for Pinterest-inspired DIY boho decor that you will absolutely love at a price tag that you'll love as well. And as always, DIY treats. Welcome to my channel, Craft, Eat, Repeat. Hi guys, it's Aneka and welcome to my channel, Craft, Eat, Repeat. So today I have some projects for you that I absolutely love. They involve wood beads, which are my favorite, wood, twine, all of my favorite things to use in my DIYs. And I really love how versatile they are. They could fit into a boho style, modern farmhouse, like an industrial farmhouse look. You could change these up a little bit to fit whatever look you're going for. So I really hope you enjoy them. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. Everybody hit that bell so you'll be notified when my next video comes out. And when all the DIYs are over, head down to the comments and let me know which DIY was your favorite. Or of course, you could just say, hi, what's up? What's going on? Let me know how your week is going. I love to read the comments. Okay guys, it's time to craft. Now this first DIY involves something I absolutely love, which is wooden beads. I started out with this circle mirror that I got from Dollar Tree and removed the frame. Next, I had just a jar of randomly sized wood beads and I picked through them and tried to find some that I could put on my mirror. So I started with my smaller beads, and guys, I'm not sure of the size of these because honestly I've been collecting these beads over months and months and I just kind of threw them in the jar. But the thing to remember is to use the smaller beads on this inside circle. And then once that was completed, I went ahead and I grabbed some larger beads and I started gluing them on the outside circle. Now, because I didn't measure this out ahead of time and get a certain sized beads, these were kind of hanging off the edge of this little cardboard circle that was already attached to the back of the mirror, but that was okay. I was able to just put a dab of hot glue on the smaller beads and the cardboard, and the bigger one stayed pretty well. I did flip it over afterwards and just add a little touch of hot glue to make sure that they would stay nice and secure. Now, I have been wanting a beaded mirror for a while, and this one is inspired by one that I saw on Pinterest. I absolutely loved the tassels at the bottom. So next, I needed to make a tassel garland with the beads to put on the bottom of my mirror. So I took some twine and I cut this to about 18 inches. Of course, this is a project that you can do with any size mirror, and you might need a longer tassel garland than that if you make one. Next, I'm going to make my tassel. I wrapped the twine around my hands about 15 times, and then I took my 18-inch piece of twine and I just tied my tassel off right in the middle of my twine. Once that was done, I snipped all the loops so that I had some hanging twine pieces, and then I took another piece of twine. It was probably about 2 to 3 inches. I made a loop, wrapped that piece of twine around the top of my tassel, and sorry guys, I had butterfingers this night, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And then I put the end of my twine through the loop and pulled. By doing it this way, it ties off under all that twine that I just put on there, and you cannot see where it's tied. I made 2 more tassels this way, except I didn't put them on to my garland yet. Next, I strung some more beads onto each side of my garland, and I left that tassel right in the middle. Now, I put about 25 beads on here. That wasn't any magic number. I just kind of eyeballed it and looked to see what looked like it would be a good number. And then I did the same thing to the other side. Once that was done, I counted off 15 beads and I made a little space between my beads and tied it off. This way I will be able to tie my extra tassels on the end of my twine, and I'll be able to glue this entire piece onto the back of my mirror, and I'll have my hanging tassels that attracted me so much to the inspiration piece. So next, I need to be able to hang my mirror on the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off another piece of twine. I didn't even measure this one, you guys. I would say it was probably about 8 to 10 inches. I put some more beads on there, and it doesn't really matter how many. The size of your mirror will dictate that, but I would say an odd number would work the best because that makes for a much nicer rounded shape. So after I put my smaller beads on, I found another one of the larger ones, and I threaded the larger bead through both sides of my twine. Then I separated my twine once again, and I put more of the smaller beads onto my twine. I think I put about 8 or 9 on here. Once again, that's for this smaller Dollar Tree mirror. Honestly, you guys, I love how this came out so much that I think I might make a larger one. And to do that, I would need much more beads to just make the proportions look right on a larger mirror. So now that I have those on there, I just tied off a knot to make sure they stayed secure. And I'm going to glue that onto the back of my mirror. Now I'm just going to be hanging this in my room, and I don't really mind that the back doesn't look quite so finished. However, if you're making this for someone or if you want it to look more finished, all you have to do is just cut a piece of project board and glue it on the back so you don't see all those pieces. And this is it. You guys, I am in love with this. It is so beautiful. It has that boho feel, and wood beads are my love language, basically. I am just in love with this mirror. So my next Pinterest inspired boho DIY is this circle tapestry that I saw. I honestly think it was a paid post on Pinterest, and they wanted about $100 for it. But I decided to use this round circle plaque that I got from Dollar Tree. And you guys, if you're not able to find this plaque, you could always just find a big round bowl that you like and cut off some project board into a circle. I know a lot of Dollar Trees don't have these circles, and I did get this a while ago, but you can still make your circle with using some project board instead, and it will look just as beautiful. So I just drew a line right down the middle. And if you're going to want your back to look nice and finished, you want to make sure that you get this very even. I instead am deciding to make 2 projects instead of just 1, so having it right down the middle exactly wasn't quite as important. But I drew off my line, and then I used my X-Acto knife to just cut through this circle plaque until I was able to separate them. Next, I took my white chalk paint and I just painted both of these half circles and let it dry. Once it was dry, I came back with some of my Waverly antiquing wax and a lint-free towel, and I'm just going to make sure I go in the same direction horizontally, and I'm just going to go back and forth with my antiquing wax. Now, the reason why I painted this with the white chalk paint first is because this actually gives a wood textured look. I wanted this to be a nice dark looking wood texture, so I actually went across it, I would say probably 3 layers of this antiquing wax, making sure to get the sides and the bottom because you'll be able to see that in the final product. But I absolutely love how this technique looks, especially with these MDF boards that you can get from Dollar Tree. It's really hard to make them look like real wood. Another option would be to get the contact paper with the wood grains on it. You could also cover whatever you're using in that, and that actually might be a better option if you are doing this with the project board, because then you won't have to put so much paint on it. Next, I'm going to take my white yarn and I'm just going to make a loop around. I use this picture frame. You could use a book, you could use your arm, you could use whatever you want, just to make some loops, and then I'm going to snip off both ends. So now I have some loose pieces of string and they're all generally about the same length. I'm going to flip over my half circle and I'm going to glue this yarn onto the back. Now you guys, when I started out, I was doing this one at a time, and you do not do that. That took me so long until I figured out that I could just do like 5 to 6 pieces at a time, and then it went a lot more quickly. So once I got my entire row done, I decided that this yarn was not thick enough for me. I wanted to put another layer. So I just kind of trimmed up the top above where my hot glue line was, and I just went back through with another layer, and I did the same thing. I just put a little bit of hot glue, put my yarn on there, and came all the way across with a second layer of yarn. Once I finished that, I came back across with one more piece of hot glue just to make sure that these stayed on there nice and securely. Now in my inspiration piece, the yarn was cut off into a circle to complete the top half of the wall hanging. So in order to make sure that I got this at least semi-close to a circular shape, I just taped off the bottom half of that plaque back onto the top half, and then I used that as a guide to cut my yarn into a half circle. I absolutely think this came out so close to the inspiration piece, and I had seen a few more that had longer pieces of yarn. So for my second one, instead of rounding it out, I just cut it straight across to make sure that it looked nice and neat. And I love the combination of these two. They're just gorgeous. So for the next DIY, I used this Pinterest inspiration to make a tray. I have jewelry just all over the place in my room, and I'm trying to get my life together. So I wanted to make a tray that looked nice, but also could kind of house a lot of the things floating around in my room. So I got this Dollar Tree platter and I spray painted it with this Rust-Oleum spray paint. Now, as you guys know, I have a tendency of just picking up random pieces of fabric that catch my eye at Joann Fabric, and so I had these. I decided to use this middle one that has more of a pink color to it because I actually had made some little apothecary boxes with this same fabric, and I thought these would look nice together. I'll be sure to link the tutorial to those boxes in the description, as well as in the cards above if you want to see it. I also thought this rose gold color was just gorgeous with this fabric, so I decided to go ahead and flip it over. I traced the inside margins of the tray onto my fabric, and then I just cut it out into a kind of rounded rectangular shape. Once I had it cut, I did fold it over and make sure that the edges were pretty much even. It was okay to me if it wasn't perfect, but I didn't want it to be too far off. Next, I just wanted to give it a little bit of texture, so I pulled off a few of the threads from the side just to give it a bit of a frayed edge. I really love that look, and it helps to kind of cover up if your lines are not exactly straight when you're cutting the fabric. Disregard all the paint on my hands, you guys. I have been crafting up a storm. Next, I went ahead and took some Mod Podge. I put it down on my tray to act as glue, and then I put my piece of fabric right down in the middle. I made sure that all those frayed edges were pointing in the right direction, that none of them were pulled up in kind of a weird way, and I Mod Podged the edges first because of that. I wanted all those edges to lay nice and flat. Then I went through the middle and I added Mod Podge all over my fabric. And just to make sure that everything had the same finish, I also put Mod Podge all the way to the end of my tray. I let this dry, and while I was doing that, I went ahead and tied off some jute rope that I have, and I'm going to use this to make my handles. Now, the inspiration piece had leather handles, but as you guys know, any excuse I have to use twine or rope in a DIY, and I'm going to use it. But the leather does look nice, so you could add that too. I went ahead and I braided my rope because I wanted it to just be a little bit thicker than just the rope. Although, have you guys seen that now they have this wired twine at the Dollar Tree? I just saw it today for the first time, and I've got to get some and use it in some DIYs. But for this, I just tied off the braid that I made, and then I hot glued that onto the side of my tray. I did the same thing on both sides, and that was it. You guys, this is absolutely gorgeous. I love the addition to my room. I love the color that it brings, and it's functional. I can put things in this tray and get them off of the top of my dresser, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love wood beads, so I think that mirror was destined to be my favorite from the beginning, but I'm curious to know which one you liked. Let me know down in the comments. All right, now it's time for the last, and for some of you, the favorite DIY. It's the treat. Okay guys, it's time to eat. Now, this is a treat that I often make for my girls, and I've been making it a lot more now that we're home all the time, so I'm just going to share it with you. Now, I'm going to start out with this bread, and you can use any bread. I'm using this cinnamon swirl breakfast bread, but any type of bread will do. I'm going to spread almond butter all over it. Of course, you could use peanut butter, sun butter, whatever types of butter that you use frequently in your house. Next, I'm going to take a banana and I'm just going to cut off 3 slices, and I'm going to do it at a bit of an angle to give me a little bit of an elongated oval shape to my banana slices. I'm going to put 2 at each top corner and 1 right in the middle of my bread. Next, I'm going to put some candy eyes on there. If you don't have candy eyes, you could use cookie icing, or you could use some chocolate chips. And then I'm going to put 1 chocolate chip right in the middle to go for the nose. And I have this adorable bear. Now, I made this for my daughter's lunchbox, but full disclosure, guys, I make these little guys for myself all the time. Because, you know, why not? If you can get a smile, you should go ahead and get one. I hope you enjoyed the DIYs I had for you today. I really enjoyed making them, and I hope you enjoyed watching them. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, give this video a big thumbs up, and head down to the comments and let me know which DIY was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when we repeat it all again.